Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about Final Fantasy. This is going to be a rant video. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. It's going to be a little bit personal because I'm talking about my experience. So if that doesn't interest you, then that's fine. Don't have to watch it. But I'm going to be talking about something called Final Fantasy XIV Social Death. So what is that? The way I would describe it is as follows. Social death in 14 is when a player who previously had a foothold in some kind of community finds themselves either gradually or suddenly detached from any solid circle. So this is something that I've run into, and potentially others. You may have heard of people quitting the game after an FC breakup or a rating static dissolution. Whether these things were aggressive in nature or otherwise, this is unfortunately not uncommon. I've come to a place now where I kind of just log in, look at people, and feel pretty lonely. Back in the quote-unquote heyday of my FC, as I'd call it, I had a bunch of friends. Or at least, a bunch of people I could do this silly little wave whenever I saw them log in. In the time I've been in this FC, I became pretty good friends with the FC leader, and by extension, some of his friends. People came and went, as is the nature of a video game where not everybody gets along. People would leave in groups, join in groups. I feel like that's pretty normal. If you've done any amount of socializing in 14, you'd probably agree with the fact that the game has a very unique social environment. I've had friends tell me they've never played anything where they can just log in and have people to talk to, hang out with at a house, do roulettes, and forge a meaningful friendship through a mutual love of the game they play. I'd have to agree with them, although I've not played many MMOs, so my experience is limited here. It does stand out to me, and I think most people generally want a foundation to make friends when they play this game, and it can typically be found through the various different content mediums or even community-driven events available to the player. There's no shortage of opportunity there. Sometimes FCs have cliques. I feel like that's also kind of expected when you have large groups of people, sometimes in the hundreds. It can feel daunting if you don't have your own little social circle within that. And sometimes there's people within these friend groups that just don't get along, and that can start a whole thing. An unfortunate side effect is that it can obviously cause drama. Depending on who you're around, some people, most people, including me, don't really give a shit. But it does happen. The vast majority of this game is played by working adults, but that does not mean everybody's going to be mature. I've been raiding for around 3 years now, and have played with all sorts of people. Toxic people? Sure, but not nearly as many as you'd think. Thankfully, most people that I've played with have been pretty reasonable, and when they haven't, I haven't had much trouble getting away from them. I think one of the problems I've run into while raiding is that I've been very keen to make friends, but then the friendship doesn't really exist outside of whatever static I have with them. Which is not uncommon, it just makes playing the game outside of raid hours a little bit lonelier. I guess if you're FC raids, your experience might be a little bit different in that case because you might be playing with people you spend more time with. Since I started doing high-end content in this game, one of my goals was to find a group of people to be friends with, since raiding with friends is a lot more fun than doing it by yourself or with strangers in PF, at least in my opinion. Since the enjoyment I derive from raiding is largely from pushing myself as hard as possible to improve, I tend to lean towards environments that feed that. I learned early on in my exploration into raiding that I couldn't wait for the people around me to get stuff going. This became a core part of my raid mindset going forward, and when I had friends around me wanting to raid in the game, that's what I would tell them. Don't wait for people, do it because you want to do it. I would be a little confused when they would wait for their friends anyway, and sometimes never raid at all because of it. Not that that's a bad thing, I just had made the personal choice myself a few times to go ahead with raiding even though I hadn't taken any of my existing friends with me. Which isn't to say that you can't ever go back and raid with friends at a later date, which is what I ended up doing, and that was a lot of fun. During my time raiding and playing with different kinds of people in groups, I have come to learn the different reasons why a static might not stay together. and one of the main ones, I think, is that goals misalign. I think one of the most important things when it comes to team play in general is making sure that everybody is on board with the goals and expectations set beforehand. People are gonna lose motivation, sometimes fight, give up, find a new group, whatever it is. There are ways to avoid this, and I think if the reason for the breaking up of the static is severe enough, people don't even try, and they just quit. Coming to the point where people sometimes feel like they have to take a really long break or even quit the game because of things like this is honestly really frustrating, especially as the player who feels like they have no place in the game anymore. I've taken a few breaks, but not enough in my time playing. I've had a lot of times where I've dreaded raiding or even logging in because of the social expectation on me, because I wasn't enjoying the time I spent in the game. It might be easy to look at this and think, why don't you just not do that? And in retrospect, I would say the same thing. If you hit that point in your rating, then you're playing the game too much, and I was playing way too much. But I'm not here to rant about that. I'm here to rant about my experience now as an active player, because I do still play this game. Even though my FC has been dead for a year now, and I'm basically the only person that plays, give or take the occasional aforementioned silly wave, my FC lead doesn't even log in anymore, other than to save his house because of a stupid timer. There's maybe 4 of us that play out of 60 members. In the past, it wasn't unheard of to have half of our FC online and chatting. This isn't because of the end of the expansion either. Players naturally drop off around then. I understand that. I'm not here to talk about that. The social circles from IFC are gone. The social foundation is torn up because of the conflicts of the past. People don't enjoy socializing here anymore, and most of the people don't play. It might not make a lot of sense, but I feel like I'm responsible to stay because of all the people that didn't. More on that in a bit. Another factor in my particular experience of this 14 social death is that I live in Australia and I play on North American servers. Oceania didn't exist yet when I started playing. The friend that got me into this game played on NA, and well, the ping was the lowest there, surprisingly. Most people know that the Materia data center is pretty low population, but there's a few reasons why I haven't moved to that server. My raid groups are all on Ether. There's a strong raid identity on Ether. I have my house on NA, my character is married on NA, even though the spouse barely plays. It feels like home to me. Unfortunately, the time zone just doesn't really work in my favor. Currently, I log into raid to finish up the stuff I didn't have time for in the past, and that's about it. I play with some raid friends I briefed on earlier, some people I've known for 2 years now and still get along with. It's a group I really appreciate having, and have met new people through. Other than that, I have my Savage group that I've grown very fond of, even though the prog kinda sucks. I do miss a lot of what I had in the past in this game. The silly waves on login, the daily voice chats. If you spend a lot of time with internet friends, you'd know it becomes a pretty big part of your life. Again, they're people you connect with, they're not just pixels on a screen. As someone with pretty severe social anxiety, I probably put too many eggs in the 14 basket, and have since opened up a lot more doors instead of this endless hallway I got stuck in for so long. I've thought about leaving my FC, changing world servers or even data centers, get a fresh start somewhere else and run away from home. Still might in the future. I'm not really looking for advice, but I'm scared to try and start again. It was hard starting the first time I made friends. I'm scared of repeat incidents like what's happened in the past. I don't enjoy losing friends. One of those events is enough to get people to quit. It's happened around me like 3 times. Overall, it's just left me exhausted, and I guess for a while now, defeated. When I'm not raiding, my time in this game feels colorless compared to what it used to be. I'm in 14 social death. This could just be a me thing. It might not be. I know I've tunnel visioned a lot of stuff in this game, and just talking about it is probably helping a lot. I know some people have quit or taken long breaks. I know I've pissed people off, but also grown as a person as well. I don't think it's a death in the sense that it's final, that there's no future. But I feel death is a suitable word because it just feels stagnant. So yeah, that's my experience with what I would call 14 social death, and a bit of insight into what I actually spend my time doing when I play this game, because I don't play it like I used to. If you have experienced something similar to this, where you don't really know what to do with yourself socially in this game anymore, or you don't know what to do in the game at all anymore, like, talk about it, write it down. I wrote this in a document, then decided to record it. I don't know how interesting it is or isn't, but I do love this game, and I love playing this game, and I want more out of my experience with it, and that's why I continue to play it. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say. Thanks for watching.